singing. And now, without any further delay, we'll ask Sharda Ma to continue her discourse on Vivek Chudamani.
Hari Om. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram. Om Shanno Mitra Sham Varunaha Shanno Bhavatvaryama Shanna Indro Brihaspatihi Shanno Vishnurukramaha Namo Brahmane Namaste Vayo Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahma Vadishyami Ritam Vadishyami Satyam Vadishyami Tanmam Avatu Tadvaktaram Avatu Avatu Mam Avatu Vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Loka Shankaram. Hari Om. Welcome to everyone. It's nice to see you all. We would like to continue from where we had left yesterday. First, the tradition is that we always start with the first shloka of this Viveka Chudamani, which is like a Mangala Shlokam. So the one that we did yesterday, the first one, we'll start with that. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tama Gocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. We saw the meaning to this yesterday, and we saw how Bhagavan Shankaracharya brings to our notice the preciousness and the rarity of human birth. Right? So we saw that yesterday. And because the human life is so great, because only in this human life, we said, we can realize ourselves and we have to make right use of it. That is the main thing. So once you don't know the rarity, then you may take it very lightly. That's why he just had given us all those tips on how to remember it. Now, as the gradation goes higher and higher, to be a person, not only having the human being, but with all the humane qualities, right? We said that. And also to be educated in the study of the Shastras, that is the next step higher. And then next is not just studying for the sake of scholastic experience, etc., but here to live a life of what has been taught, to live a spiritual life according to the scriptures, what we have learned. That's another a step higher. And then the next step was to be able to discriminate what is dharma from adharma, what is the right course of action, what is wrong, etc., etc., when we are in a fix or in a dilemma. So that was the next higher thing, that as a human being, we are able to do it. So next, the highest was, what is the self from not self? Atma, Anatma, Vivechanam. So for a human being, that is the culmination. Once you understand what is the what the self is, and then when you abide in that self, the mukti comes, right? That is the final, from, as we said, from human being to the divinity. All this we saw yesterday. So now the next shloka, we won't see all the shlokas, but today we'll start with the fourth shloka, what we had left off yesterday. Yesterday we had done up to 3. So today we'll see the fourth shloka. Labdva kathanchin narajanma durlabham tatrapi pumstvam shruti paradarshanam. Yastvatma muktau nayate tamudhadhihi sahyatmaha svam vinihantya sadgrahat. Together. Labdva kathanchin narajanma durlabham tatrapi pumstvam shruti paradarshanam yastvatma muktau nayate tamudhadhihi sahyatmaha svam vinihantya sadgrahat. Now it says, Labdva kathanchin narajanma durlabham. Nara Janma Durlabham, we know, we already have seen this, this human life, which is extremely difficult to get, Durlabham, Labdva, having gotten this human life, Katham Chit, any which way, whatever you believe in. If you believe in rebirth, okay. If you believe in luck, whatever you believe in, but somehow or the other, now we are all human beings. I hope we all believe in that at least. Yeah. So now having gotten this human birth, and then tatrapi pums.
Amma, you're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, thank you. So tatrapi, then we say that pumstvam. So suppose we have all the human being body, but if there are no human qualities, humane qualities. So we have that also. If a person having got this, yaha, the one, to, with all the intelligence, but you can understand everything, you can study everything, but what is that? Na yateta. Na yateta means does not strive at all. He does not strive at all. Swatma muktau. For what? For his own liberation, not for somebody else. We are all, as we know, selfish by nature. Because the self is the most important thing. But being selfish, we have to understand the uttermost selfishness is to understand who the self is. So we have to understand that only in this human life we can get this moksha. In a dog form, we will die as a dog only. There is no other way. Whereas a human being born as a human being can die as the Paramatma, as the highest, the divinity. So it's only possible in this. So we all say every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. We always say. So we have this great ability to go to the higher, the divinity. So having gotten this, Swatma Mukta, if we don't put forth our efforts to get to that mukti for our own selves, so Swatma, for my own self, what can we call that person? He is giving a nice name, Mudha-dihi, right? So that is the title that is given. So we all know Mudha does not mean fool. It means a confused, a deluded person. Okay, so the person is totally deluded because he does not know for what he has to use the intelligence. So, and also he's saying one more thing, Sahi Atmaha. Atmaha means a person who is actually committing suicide. Having gotten this beautiful birth, if we do not use it, then we are considered as we are a suicide. We have committed suicide. We have just wasted. So even in all the Upanishads, it says Kripanaha. So he is called as totally a miser who has wasted. At least if a miser doesn't use the money, somebody else will use it. But if I die, my body will not be used by anybody else. So this is even worse than that. Yeah. So then it says, not only is that Swam Vinihanti, while living also, he is just destroying his own life. And then Asat Grahat. Why? Because he is holding on to all the Asat. Asat means all the false things. The real thing he has just left off, and all the false things he is just accumulating, and he is just hoarding without understanding what this precious human life has been given for. I hope now we understand how great it is to be a human being, and then how great it is to have come under the protection of our Gurudev, and how it is so great that we are all trying to follow this beautiful path of spirituality. Having come to this, now we go to the next one. In this way, now we say that, yes, okay, now I have understood. What you are saying, absolutely right. Now I have understood. Now, I'm going to gain this liberation right now. Immediately. From nothing to all of a sudden everything. I am going to gain, okay, every day I will do 108 times mala, each mala, 108 times mala. I will do this, that, Dhanadhan, you just start doing everything. Yeah. So I want to give lectures immediately. I want to give, whether you are understanding or not, I want to give lectures. That is my job. So I want to give lectures. I want to study. I want to do this. I want to do that. So that kind of a thing also becomes not a right thing. Yeah. So now he says here, so it is not just to just give lectures that we are learning all this, but to know what my true nature is. So here, don't get carried away just because some people can beautifully, they can chant all the shlokas. Some people can do so many pujas. For hours together, they can sit and keep on, doing their japa, etc. I'm not able to do anything. Not even one Vakratunda, Mahakaya. Is it Surya Koti or Koti Surya? Or is it Chandra? I don't know. I can't even remember. Yeah, if that is my plight, don't worry. That is not what is needed. That's what Shankara is now telling us in the 6th shloka. We are jumping to the 6th one. Now, please go to the 6th shloka. Vadantu shastrani yajantu devan kurvantu karmani bhajantu devataha atmaikya bodhena vina vimuktihi na siddhyati brahma shatantarepi. Together. Vadantu shastrani yajantu devan kurvantu karmani bhajantu devataha atmaikya bodhena vina vimuktihi na siddhyati brahma shatantarepi. Vadantu shastrani. Let all those scholars who have learned so much, let them speak. Let them quote from whichever scripture. Yeah. So let them give lectures. Whatever they can do, let them do. You don't get carried away by that. Okay. Then, yajantu devan. Other people, let them do all the yajna, yagas that they can do. So many yajnas people are doing, so many pujas they are doing, so many things they are doing. I never do any yajna yagas. Doesn't matter. Okay. Now, kurbantu karmani. So many people are doing so much of social service, so many actions that are done, social work, etc. But I don't do anything. Yeah, free kitchen, they go and then do so many different things. I'm not doing anything at all. Is that okay? People get very worried. Yajantu devataha. They do one day puja to, today is Monday, so I have to do Lord Shiva puja. Today is, Tuesday, I have to do, Lord Ganesha's puja. Or, if you are North Indian, then it is, you have Guru, Swami Swarupananda makes fun of us that, North Indians do on Saturday and then South Indians do on Tuesday. There are so many different days and all that. So I am this, so I am doing that. Wednesday is for Rama, Friday, Thursday is for Krishna, Friday is for Devi. It just goes on and on. I don't do all that. Is that okay? Vimuktihi na siddhyate. It says, only by doing all these things, we have to understand, all these things are not being, should not do, it never says like that. But what it means is that just by doing all this, mukti cannot be gotten, because whatever is the most necessary, that has to be done. It says, Brahma Shatantare api. If you really understand what that means, then you will be really very depressed. So what does that mean? It means, what is the lifespan of Brahmaji? One Brahmaji. So now we say that in a yuga, there are 4 yugas, if you have heard of that. So Kali Yuga has about approximately 400,000 years. Double that is the Dwapara Yuga, 800,000. Okay. Then 3 times Treta Yuga, 1200,000. Then 4 times Satya Yuga, 16,000, approximate. So when you add up, it almost comes to 4.2 million years. This is called as one Mahayuga. You don't have to remember all this. This is just to impress you, I'm saying. Okay. So please don't get worried. I don't know. It doesn't matter. This is not going to take us anywhere. It is just to understand how rare it is. Okay. How we cannot get, even if we do for such a long time. So these 4 yugas put together are called as one Mahayuga. Now, like this, 1,000 Mahayugas. You can sit and calculate. 1,000 Mahayugas make one day of Brahmaji. 1,000 Mahayugas make one night of Brahmaji. So added, 2,000 Mahayugas make one day and night of Brahmaji. Like this, Brahmaji's life is 100 years. So you sit and calculate how many years that is. So it says even hundreds of lifespans of Brahmaji, if you keep on doing all those things only, mukti will not happen. Okay. Appa, thank you. I have never done all those things. Now you are giving me permission. No, we are not giving you permission not to do all those things. Later on in the next shlokas, it says, Chitta Shuddhaya, for the cleansing of the mind, because the prerequisite is that the mind has to be, it has to have the prerequisite of purity of mind. All these things can happen only through all those actions that we do, the pujas that we do, all the dhanam, etc., the social work, etc., that we do. All those things are very, very much required for the purity of mind. But then, as we see in Atma Bodha, just washing and cleaning the utensils or the big pots will not have the food ready. You have to cook it too. You have to have the fire to cook the food. If you keep on washing, how long can you keep washing? My car is just so brand new. I'm so proud. I ask everybody to come and see my car. See, doesn't it look like it has been brought today? It has been sitting in my garage for 15, 20 years. I have never taken it out. What is the big deal? No, so it is like that. If I only do that, then Atmaikya Bodha Vina. So until we know the oneness between the Atma and the Paramatma. That oneness, if it is not known, without that realization of the oneness of the self, then mukti cannot be gained even in hundreds of thousands or millions of years of Brahmajis. It will never happen. So we have to understand the proper means has to be adopted. So all those things are there for cleansing of the mind, for getting the prerequisite, but the actual action has to be done properly. So an appropriate means has to be taken. Like, I want to get my master's degree. I keep on doing pranayama. For the past 4 years, I've been doing pranayama, but I don't get my master's degree. Is there anything wrong with the pranayama? No, but pranayama is not meant for getting master's degree. Whatever has to be done has to be done. Like some people, in the name of spirituality, keep on, which is good, they do all different kinds of things. I am now doing Reiki. I don't know, whatever they do. So all those things are understandable for some other purpose, but for the purpose of realization, only Atma Aikya Bodha, the realization of oneself with the Paramatma, has to be known. This is what is the main means. In Bhajagovindam, we have seen Kurute Ganga Sagara Gamanam Vrata Paripalanam Athava Danam Jnana Vihinaha Sarva Matena Bhajatina Muktim Janma Shatena. I may go to Ganga, I may do all these different, pilgrimages, I may do so many vratas, so many different things. But if I don't have this jnana vihinaha, so the person who has not gotten this Aikya Bodha, then you cannot even achieve this, what you want to achieve. So he just wants us to completely understand what is the real means for this ultimate goal. Now, we all know in the next few shlokas, I'm not taking all of them, it says that no amount of money can buy this. Yeah? So for that, there is a beautiful story of this Yajnavalkya Rishi. You might have heard about this in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Yajnavalkya Rishi, at some point, he was a very, very, very rich person. He had 2 wives. One's name was Katyayani, the other one was Maitreyi. You might have heard that story. And when he was ready to renounce everything, he called the 2 wives and he distributed his wealth, everything that he had, to both the wives. So they were quite satisfied. It was very happy, very good way of dividing the money. He gave everything to both of them and he said, now please give me permission. I want to go to the forest. I'm just going to take sannyasa. I want to now, I want to get moksha. So I'm going to take sannyasa. So Katyayani said, okay, you go there and you please do that. Fine, bye, namaskaram and all that. So she bade him goodbye. But this younger one, that Maitreyi, she said, come here. I want to ask you one thing. You are giving us all the money and you are going. That means you think that the moksha cannot be gotten through money, right? And you think that you will not be happy with this money. Then how do you think that we will be happy with this money? What do you think we are? The way she asks, it just, blows our mind as to how bold she is to ask like that. And he says, yeah, definitely you cannot get that moksha through this money. That's why I'm leaving everything and I'm going. So she says, whatever happiness you are going to get, I want to know. Please sit down and teach me first before you go. So he already knew what was the, the whole Vedanta, etc. So he teaches the whole, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So that is what the beauty of this is, that you understand that with nothing else can you get this. So it's a beautiful way of understanding this. Now, the goal is set. The goal we all have understood. Means is also established. We have understood what is the means. So what do we have to do? What is the next thing? So in order to gain this knowledge, it says, you have to go to a proper teacher. Yeah, that is also, you have to say all these things. Because if I have to learn music, all these people, you are also musically talented. That's why I'm giving that example. So if I want to learn music and then I go to a wrestler and then tell him, please teach me, will that work? You know, it looks ridiculous to us. But that's what we think, that we can go to anybody and we can learn all this. You have to go to a proper teacher, right? So the first thing is we have to look for a proper teacher. Ataha, therefore, vimuktyai prayateta vidvan. An intelligent person has to strive very hard. So now, again and again, if you want to learn mountain climbing, no amount of swimming will help you. Swimming will help you to, grow muscles, whatever you want, the strength, etc. But that's not going to help you. So in spiritual world, people are doing all these different things without understanding what has to be done actually. Yeah. So strive properly, wholeheartedly you strive in the right direction. Once you do that, there is no doubt that you will get the result. There cannot be anything but proper result. We all think, I have been striving for such a long time. How come I'm not able to, be successful? That's because we have not given the right thought, the right amount of, the right way of thinking. So again and again, Shankara is just insisting on our knowing this. Okay, so for that, he says, first of all, sanyasta bahyartha means you have to renounce. You don't have to renounce the bahyartha, means all the objects of the world. But it says sukha spriha you have to renounce. What do you mean by sukha spriha? Means you have to renounce the longing for all these different objects. Okay, you can have everything and then you can just you can make use of them, but don't get attached to anything. Start developing a little bit of vairagya. Now, whenever we listen to this word vairagya, something in us gets very, very scared. Ayyo, that's why I don't like to come to this Vedanta lectures, Amma. Immediately these people want me to become a sannyasi. Is that what the meaning is? No. Now, see, every Tuesday, the garbage man comes in our area. On Monday, I separate all the garbage and then I make that garbage bag and then I go and put it in the bin and put it outside. Do I come inside and start crying? Ayyo, now that garbage is gone now. I'm so sad. We never do that. If we do that, we are slightly off. No, something is wrong with us. But it is as ridiculous when we think that when it is said that you have to have a little bit of vairagya, when you have to give up, once you know what is the means for the goal, and once you know that all these other things are not going to help me, we have to come to the conclusion, this is not going to help me. So it is like the garbage that I'm putting out on Tuesdays. Okay. So it is not like you have to give up everything, but don't have that clinging attachment. Are you my garbage, my garbage, my garbage? Yeah. So from today onwards, you have to understand the right meaning of what does vairagya mean. Vairagya means not having attachment to the things that I don't require. And that's very, very easy. One Swami came to America first time. I remember in long time ago, 40 years ago. So he was saying, I'm so intrigued by this garage sale, Amma. He had never seen any garage sale in India. So he said, they put out all the things in their garage and then people come and buy it. And I would call it garbage sale, not garage sale, he said, because all the things that I don't want, they all come and buy. So what I throw out, they take it. No, so for anything that I throw out, somebody is there to take it. So this is how we all have to understand. Now this thing is over. I don't need it. So automatically my vairagya, we have to develop that. Then it says, Santam Mahantam Samupetya Deshikam. So after having developed a little bit of, again, not a big vairagya, not great sannyasi, just a little bit of, not little bit of less attachment. Let us put it that way. Less attachment, then you approach a proper teacher, Santam Mahantam. Santam. It is called Santam. Santam means a saintly person. A person who is in touch with Sat is called a Sant. So a saintly person, you go and then you have to you have to be in tune with his mind. For that, you have to stay with that teacher for an amount of time, for a period of time. Mahantam, the teacher has to be large-hearted. Yeah? Because I will make a lot of mistakes. I will keep on asking again and again the same questions. But he should not get angry and say, what? How many times will you ask me? You Buddhu. It's not like that. Okay. So the teacher who is totally, full of compassion. So he is a large-hearted person. So Guruji gives a joke for this. Says, the Shishya was there. Poor teacher is trying to wake up the Shishya in the morning. Can you imagine in the ashram what all happens? So he's saying, he's calling the Shishya, beta, utho, please get up. So he doesn't get up. Then after half an hour again, the teacher comes, beta, utho, he's not getting up. Then now the teacher makes the tea for the student. And then he says, beta, please get up. The tea is getting cold. Immediately he gets up. Now the student, what kind of a student? How come you got up now? It's not nice to keep on saying no. 3 times I've already said no. So 4th time also saying no doesn't look good. And that's why I got up. Actually, I got up for my tea. So we are all this great students we are all. So here it says, having approached this teacher, what should we do? We should be with the teacher, and the teacher may start the teaching depending on how much I am ready for it. Right? The teacher only knows. For a whole year, the teacher may not teach me anything, because he is just trying to gauge my intelligence. So we should not get very, depressed and all that. The teacher knows. Yeah? And then once he starts teaching, tena upadishtartha samahitatma. Samahitatma means you must absorb your mind by the Guru's teachings. Whatever the Guru is teaching, your mind has to get absorbed in that reality. That is indicated by the Guru. That is your job. The main job for us when we are with the teacher is to understand what the teacher is trying to tell us and then tune our mind to that. Instead of that, we just keep on looking at everything else and then, while away our time. So that should not be done by any one of us. This is in the 8th shloka, which we didn't chant, just for your understanding. Then the 9th shloka, we all very famous in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. We have heard Uddhared Atmanatmanam na Atmanam avasadayet. So, how one should lift oneself by oneself. Don't keep on putting down yourself. That is, in order to keep up that enthusiasm, keep on working at it. And sometimes you may not understand properly, but don't think anything bad about your own intelligence. Don't undermine whatever you have done. So keep on going up and up. Don't keep pulling yourself down. That is what is told in the 9th shloka. Now, we are going to jump to the 16th shloka. Okay. So please take out the 16th shloka. this is the general qualifications of a Shishya. There are some specific qualifications which will be told in the 17th shloka. We are in the 16th now. Okay, I'm going to the 16th shloka. Medhavi Purusho Vidwan Uha Poha Vichakshanaha. Somebody has unmuted, so you have to mute that person. Adhikaryatma Vidyayam Ukta Lakshana Lakshitaha. Together. Medhavi Purusho Vidwan Uha Poha Vichakshanaha Adhikaryatma Vidyayam Ukta Lakshana Lakshitaha. So, this is the general one. What is the general qualifications? First is Medhavi. A person should have a little bit of Medha Shakti. What do we mean by Medha Shakti? Medha Shakti is that Shakti by which you can retain whatever you have heard. Yeah? The teacher has taught everything. The next day he is just recapitulating. And then he's saying, so you remember we talked about, what? When did we talk about it, teacher? So if I am like that, the teacher will be so discouraged, he will think, okay, forget it. So we should have at least some kind of retention power. We need not be like Gurudev, we all know how Swami Tapovanam had told him, I will not repeat. And when I ask you, verbatim, you will have to repeat what I had said. That is a very, very difficult thing. You could not take down notes. There was no tape recorder, not even some photograph, nothing. You couldn't do anything. All you had to retain by yourself, and then the teacher can ask anytime. Chalo, we don't want that kind of a medha, but then just ordinary medha, so that we can grasp what the teacher is saying and what we can retain, we can retain. Otherwise, the teacher cannot proceed at all. He will be only in the first shlokam. Purusha, again, Purusha means the one who has that manly qualities, the humane qualities. Vidwan. Vidwan means should be somewhat intelligent to understand what the teacher is talking about. If we are totally not able to get anything at all, then that is not, we cannot go further in this knowledge. So at least somewhat, a little bit of understanding should be there. And uha poha vichakshanaha. That nice word. You can just learn it for, making, like, you can impress people by saying, uha poha vichakshanaha. What is uha poha vichakshanaha? That means the pros and cons of any arguments. We should understand, because in all these scriptures, as you go deeper and deeper, you will have all this, opposition party. They will say something, and then you have to now refute it, and then you have to prove what you are saying is right. So for all that, you have to have this kind of understanding of the two sides. What is the other side? What is this side? At least that understanding, basic understanding should be there. Uha poha vichakshanaha. So all these things, we have to have. This is the basic knowledge. It says, adhikaryatma vidyayam ukta lakshana lakshitaha. So at least the adhikari means a person who is a deserving student should have these qualities in general. Now we come to the specifics of what is needed to be a Vedantic student. Don't get frightened when we read all this. What is the prerequisite? When we read this, we should not get too frightened. We all have it in some degree. We'll see that later. Okay. So we go to the 17th shloka. Vivekino viraktasya Shamadi gunashalinaha मुमुक्षोरेव हि ब्रह्म जिज्ञासा योग्यता मता. Together. विवेकिनो विरक्तस्य शमादि गुणशालिनः मुमुक्षोरेव हि ब्रह्म जिज्ञासा योग्यता मता. These 4 things are called in the next section. You can see 4 qualifications. Sadhanani atra chatvari kathitani manishibhihi. So there are 4 sadhanas which are now here enumerated. I'm just not going to go through the whole thing one by one, but I will just say that in general as to what these mean. So here it says, first one, what is the first qualification that is needed? Viveki. Viveki means what? We already have seen. What is Viveka? Viveka is the discriminative faculty to know what is right from wrong. When the teacher says this is not the right thing, this is the right thing, you should be having that understanding as to what the right thing is and not keep on going to the wrong thing. Okay. So this is the Viveka. Then the next one, Viraktasya. Virakta means, again we all know, the one who has Viraga. That is the one who has a little bit of detachment. Doesn't need much to understand this, because again and again we have to remember, we are not being asked to give up what we like. Okay. What is not good for us, we have to give up. Supposing I have diabetes, right? This we can understand. And the doctor says, if you take more sugar, sweet things like this, then you can forget it. You cannot see the next birthday. Immediately I will give up. How I'm so, wanting to give up? How do I do that? Because that fear comes that, hey, I may not live. I don't want that. We should understand, when the teacher tells us that this is not good for you, it must be taken like that I'm not going to touch it. That's not right. That's all it is. Okay, just like I gave you the example of a garbage. Why would I want to carry the garbage? It will only stink. Yeah, something like that. So Viveki, a person who has the discriminative faculty to see what is right from wrong, we should know that. And then once having known what is right, the wrong thing should be given up. That is Viraktasya. 2 things are over. Viveka, Vairagya. The third one is a cluster of 6 qualities. Shamadhi Gunashalinaha. A person endowed, Shali means the one who is endowed with Shamadhi Guna. Shamadhi Guna, Shama, etc. Yeah. So what are the 6-fold qualifications or 6-fold virtues that a student of Vedanta must have? We all should know this. First one is Shama. It starts with Shama. So Shama is the ability to control the mind. The mind keeps on wandering everywhere. If you sit down for meditation, we may be sitting at one place, the mind wanders everywhere. Yeah, like Kabirji says, Mala firai haath mein, the mala is going on in your hand. Jeeba firai mukhamahi means your tongue is going round and round in your mouth. Manua to dasavu disai firai. So the mind is going in 10 different directions. So he says, ya sumiran nahi. This is not called as japa. So the mind has to be controlled. We should be able to control the mind a little bit, not too much. Don't get frightened. Okay. So Shama is the first one, mind control. The next one is Dhamma. What is Dhamma? Dhamma is the control of all the sense organs. What is the smell? Oh, they are making vadas. Immediately the nose has gone out. Yeah. What is that sound? That raga I love. Mind has gone through the ear. Or the smell, the taste, the touch, and everything. All the 5 things are pulling us in all different directions. So we should have control over the sense organs. This is the second one. This also we have, I will tell you when we come to it. Okay. So then Shama, Dama, Uparama. Uparama or Uparati means when we have Shama, control of the mind, and the control of the sense organs, a kind of the mind that is at equilibrium. The mind is available for anything and everything that has to be heard. That's called as Uparati, Uparama. Next one, Titiksha. What is Titiksha? Titiksha is forbearance. What do you mean by that? It says it beautifully. We are not going through all those shlokas. The shlokas, Shankara gives a beautiful definition. What is Titiksha? It says, Sahanam sarva dukkhanam apratikara purvakam. What does that mean? Sahanam sarva dukkhanam means being able to endure all little pinpricks in life. Yeah, I'm very good at that. We always say. But it says, apratikara purvakam means without any lamenting or without any regrets or without any revenge. In other words, I keep on, last time that day when it was, Ekadashi, I have not eaten. Now I'm going to see to it that next day I will have a feast. What are you going to make? I will tell you 15 varieties of food because yesterday I didn't eat and you all ate. So this is called as not Titiksha. Titiksha is Sahanam, means enduring all little pinpricks, no regrets, no lamenting, no crying. This is the way it is and I take it like that. Yeah, I never lose sight of what my goal is. We do this also. So many times when we have to, we do all this. Sahanam sarva dukkhanam apratikara purvakam is Titiksha. Next one, Shraddha. We all think we know what Shraddha is, right? So Shraddha, we always give it the meaning as faith. Faith in what? Shastrasya guruvakyasya satya buddhi avadharana is called as Shraddha. That's what Shankara says. I'm not going through all that, but I'm just giving you the gist of that. So Shastrasya guruvakyasya satya buddhi avadharana means I have 100% faith in the Shastra. The Shastra will not say something that is not good for me. I have to have the faith because there is no direct means. Nobody has come back to us after death and come and told us. So only the Shastras are there as pramana. That is the only means of knowledge. So that is called as Shraddha when you have faith in that. And how do I know that Shastra? Without the Guru telling me, I cannot. So Guru Vakyam, my Guru has told me, he will not lead me in a wrong way. If he has told me, it has to be right for me. So these two, having the Satya Buddhi means this is the truth. If I have that kind of a conviction, then that is called as Shraddha. This also we have, but not in this field. All these things we have in our professional life, in all our private life also we all have, but only for different things we have. Our children say, we tell, my child doesn't have any concentration at all. We always say like that. But when they are watching TV, how much concentration? Why children? You yourself. How much, if somebody comes and talks, sure, not now, later. Why? Because I'm so absorbed. Where did that concentration come from? When I'm sitting down for this meditation, then I say that, I don't have any concentration. Yeah, you don't have any concentration only in this. We do have concentration. The same thing. We have Shraddha. Whenever we want to make money, we have very much Shraddha in all the other things. Whatever we want to do, we have Shraddha in that. A person who wants to win an Olympics, what does he do? gets up at 4:30. He does not eat all the junk food that you and I eat, but he eats the proper food. He always exercises regularly, doesn't do anything that is wrong that will, that will not let him win that medal, right? What is that called? All that we all have in different degrees, at different places. All that we have to know here is to be conscious of that and then start redirecting it for getting this knowledge. It is not at all difficult. Anybody can do it. Only thing is we have to be convinced first. Okay, so we have done Shama. That is, what did we say? We said that that's the control of the mind. Dhamma is the control of the sense organ. Uparati or Uparama, that state of mind which is quiet when both these things have been followed for a long time, the mind is now receptive. That is called as Uparama. Then the next one was Titiksha, and then Shraddha. We have seen Shraddha. Then the last one is called as Samadhana. What is Samadhana? Samadhana is that mind as that Uparama. Now that mind is now quiet. If you just leave it without giving it some kind of ammunition, it will go everywhere again. It has to be employed first in the studies. Totally, when you are studying this, be one with that, so your mind is absorbed in the studies. As you go deeper and deeper, we say that if we can meditate, whatever I'm meditating on, when the mind gets absorbed in that, that is called as Samadhana. So we all are doing it, as we said, in some way or the other. We are actually going through this in many, many walks of our lives. So whatever you are good at, when you are cooking, okay, I'm just taking an example for all of us. When we are cooking, and I'm just trying to put the salt in that sambar or whatever I'm making. At that time, somebody comes and says, shh, quiet. I want to know how much salt I'm putting. What is that? That's 100% concentration. Otherwise, I'll either not put or I will put too much. So that concentration, that understanding, that remembrance, that, the Shama, Dhamma, everything comes in all the things. Only thing is, we are not able to know that we have these qualities. All of us are endowed with these qualities. We have to understand and then employ that for our spiritual practices. Okay, so this is called as a cluster of 6-fold qualities called as Shamadhi. That is Shama Adi, Shatka Sampatti. The 6-fold qualifications or values or the merits that we obtain. Okay, that is the third one. What third? Yeah, remember, first one was Viveka, second was Vairagya, the third was Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti, the fourth one is called as Mumukshutvam. What is Mumukshutvam? Moktum Ichha Mumuksha. We all are Bhoktum Ichha Bhubuksha. Means our name is Bhubukshus. We want to enjoy. Oh, summer has come. Where are you going to go? Oh, up north? Oh, up south? Oh, down south? Whatever, no? So all these things only we are interested in. What have we got to do? Mumukshutvam is the desire to get liberated. So we all have the desire for liberation, but we don't understand that there is some liberation which is freedom, 100% freedom. We have never learned we have never known what that is. Once you get it, I tell you, you will never ever want to be away from it. Even a glimpse of it, once you get it, the other things become so tucham. No, they all become like nothing at all. Why was I running after all those things? When I have this, I don't know, you can't even compare it with what this is. So once you know that, even a little glimpse of it, when you see all these Swamis and all these people who are called as Anandas and they are living in Ananda, when you see them, you understand that they have left everything only because they have gotten so much, like that Maitreyi asking her husband, what are you going there for? When you know that that is not what the ultimate is. No? So mumuksha, we all have to a little degree. I went and asked Gurudev once in the beginning. I said, Swamiji, you keep on talking about this mumuksha, but I don't think I have that kind of a burning desire at all. So he said, no, the very fact that you have come to the class shows that you have some mumuksha. That's all. And automatically it will become better and better. So that is what I'm hoping, that one day his words will come true. Yeah. So this is called as the Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti. So these are all the, these are the fourfold sadhanas, the 4 different things that one has to go through. Very important. One must have these to a certain degree, and you can develop more and more. As you go to the teacher, you will develop this more and more and more. So these are all, it says, Brahma Jignasa Yogyata Mata. Means it is conclusively said by all our acharyas. Mata means considered by all those who are experts in this field as Brahma Vidya Jignasa. That a person who has these qualifications, he only can inquire into the nature of Brahman. Yeah. So, and then Shankara.
Oh, you're muted again, Amma.
Sorry. So Shankara himself will go through all this again, but we are not going to go through all of them. So now, as we said, we all have this. So don't get discouraged. To certain degree, we all have all this. Okay, now, next we go to the Guru Lakshana. Yeah. So somebody had asked yesterday, do I go looking for a guru? No, we don't go looking for a guru. The guru just happens when you are ready. Yeah. And this guru is as though is there this boy, this person, this disciple. I told you this is like in the form of a drama. So now he has now gone to a guru, supposing it is there. So we are now going to jump to 33. How do we jump? Just be Hanuman. Yeah. So then we can jump to 33. When we come to 33, we see what are the qualifications of a teacher. It says, Shrotriyaha avrajinaha akamahataha yo brahmavittamaha brahmani uparataha shantaha nirindhana ivanalaha ahetuka daya sindhuhu bandhuhu anamatam satam. So not only is a Shrotriya, Shrotriya means one who is well versed, one who is very well versed in all the Shastras, but also he is Avrajinaha. Avrajinaha means he is totally sinless. He has not done any sins at all. He is just totally sinless. Akamahataha means not at all struck by any of these petty, paltry desires of this world. Not afflicted by the desires. Akamahataha. Then Brahmavittamaha, the best among the knowers of Brahman. The teacher who knows the Brahman. Then that is Brahmanishtha. He is already established in that Brahman. Then Shantaha. Yeah. He is at peace with himself. Always he is at peace with himself. So like Lord Shiva, always in meditation. Yeah. So Gurudev gives that example anyway. So Nirindhana iva analaha. That is a beautiful example. It says like fire without fuel. Once the fire has subsided and there is no fuel, like when we are doing yaga, when we do the yajna, etc. Om Indraya Swaha, Indraya Namama, and then you put the ghee, when you have stopped pouring anything, then all the fire has subsided. He is like that. So it's totally quiet. It's totally like that. And then Ahetuka Daya Sindhu. Daya Sindhu, ocean of compassion. Ahetuka means there is no reason or rhyme. Why are you so full of compassion? Because. Because what? Because. No, let children answer. Because. I love that answer. Because there is no answer for that. I just am like that, so I am. So that is Ahetuka Daya Sindhu. Yeah. And then Bandhuhu, friend of Satam, of all the noble-hearted students. When the students come, they are all so noble-hearted because then only you will have that inclination to come. So he says that kind of a teacher. Then you go to that teacher and then what do? Tamaradya Gurum Bhaktya. So you go to the teacher and then worship that teacher. When it says worship, that doesn't mean you have to do Shodashopachara Puja and all that. Okay? You just follow whatever the teacher is saying. Yeah, so many times we don't understand that. If a teacher says to us something, do it. Don't question. It will be for our good only. We have to understand that. By how do you worship? Prahva Prashraya Sevaya, it says in the next one. So by surrendering and then being humble and then doing service to the teacher, you worship him through that. When you do that, and it says when the teacher is pleased with you, then he will say, okay, now you can ask any question. Don't just go there and jump on him and then say, now you answer my question. Once you have, gained the pleasure of the teacher, then when the teacher is happy with you, he says, now you ask questions. Then you start asking questions. This is the methodology of how to approach a teacher. Okay. Having approached the teacher in the beautiful shloka, in the 35th shloka, I know it's already 8:30, but we'll just take 5 more minutes. Just 35th shloka, just see. It's a beautiful shloka. Swamin namaste nataloka bandho karunya sindho patitam bhavabdhau Mamuddharatmiya kataksha drishtya Rajvyati karunya sudha bhivristya. The student is now doing namaskar and is saying, oh Swamin, oh Lord, namaste. You are the one who is the friend of all those people who takes refuge in you. You are Karunya Sindhu. You are an ocean of compassion for all those people who have fallen in this samsara sagaram. You are the one who can Mam Uddhara. Please save me from this. How do I have to save you? The student says, all that you have to do, sir, is just give me a kataksha. Kataksha means a side glance. That's all. Your side glance will save me. Please have mercy on me. Rijvyadi karunya sudhabhi vrishtya. That karunya, that merciful glance of yours will immediately make me become all right. So please do that. Why? What is wrong with you? The teacher, if he is asking. The next one, I have to tell you that what happened for me when I was chanting for Gurudev. All our people know this, the story behind this. I wanted to let you, for you also to know. So, see, now I chanted the 35th one. I hope you all like the tune. Swamin namaste nataloka bandho. Beautiful tune. So, the same way, I started chanting the 36th one. Durvara samsara davagni taptam. What happened? You all, if you have watched the video, then you would know. Immediately came a big whiplash on me. What? People who don't know anything start chanting like this. I was just shocked. It's still there in that in the video. If you see, then I was so shocked. He said, "Do you know the meaning?" If your sari is on fire, will you sing like that? Durvara samsara sadavagni. Will you say like that? He said, now repeat after me. Durvara samsara davagni taptam dodho yamanam duradrishta vataihi. You have to stop. You have to sing like that. That's not singing. That is just chanting. Yeah. So you have to chant like that. Why? Because it says that, oh teacher, I am being roasted in this samsara davagni. It is like a big forest fire. I am being roasted. Dodhoyamanam duradrishtavataihi means it is being fanned. This forest fire is being fanned as though by all my duradrishtavatam, by all the wind, as though from my previous janmas karmas. Those are all making this hot fire go everywhere. Bhitam prapannam. At that time, it seems you have to sing, you have to come back to the normal tune. Bhitam prapannam paripahi mrityo sharanyamanyad aham najane yadaham najane. So you cannot chant this because the first two are different, and then the second two lines have to be chanted differently according to Gurudev. I have such a beautiful memory of that, because after this was over, I went and told the videographers, please just erase this chanting, and then I will again chant. Whenever I made a mistake, we would always do that. Please do that. They said that no way. This is the best part. Gurudev shouting at me. Everybody should know how he shouted at you. So it is there. And even to this day, when I go to India and all these brahmacharis have to watch all this, they will always say, oh, Amma, we all saw your expression and all that. So everybody gets a kick out of it. So if you want to get a kick out of it, you can also watch it. So he's in the third and the fourth one, he says, I'm totally afraid of this, the death of this, because of this, everywhere it looks like there is death for me. Please, I have come to you. Please help me. Yeah, I don't know how to. And then that teacher who is so full of compassion, he said, hey, don't worry. I shall take care of you. There's nothing to worry. Since you have come here, you are already, he says, you are, like a Vidwan only. He's addressing him as Vidwan. Just because all of us are here today, we are all Vidwans. Without Vidvatvam, we cannot even we won't even want to hear this, it seems. So he addresses the student as Vidwan. And then the teacher is like Vasanta Rutu. Vasanta Rutu means like the spring season, how it just gently flows, gently the wind goes, and then all the trees become light green. How beautiful it is, as though the Lord has painted. And all these gurus are like that. And they slowly lift us from where we are, and until we reach the end, they don't want to leave us. So this is the greatness of a teacher. Now, once the student listens to this, he is very, very happy. And then, he knows how to ask a proper question. So the proper question will start with tomorrow. And then he says, I will ask you one question, you answer it. But actually, it has 6 or 7 parts to it, which is a very beautiful thing. We all have to learn by heart that shlokam. Gurudev used to make us all learn it by heart. So we'll do that tomorrow, and then we'll see what the answer is. Okay. So with that, we'll stop. I'm sorry, we took 10 minutes more. We'll do Purnamada. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you very much. There are 3 questions today. First question is, as parents, we have to make sure that we aid and support our children in providing them values, correct? In situations where our children are hurt by circumstances and people's abrasive behaviors, what should be our duty as parents? Should we protect and shelter them or advise them to be strong and resilient? We all know the answer. It is not or. Yeah? Should we protect and shelter them or advise them to be strong and resilient? Take out that or and make it and. Yeah? We have to protect and shelter them. At the same time, we have to advise them to be strong and resilient. Yeah? So, lovingly, you tell them how to be strong. That is the difference between us and somebody else giving them advice. We are advising them because they have to live in this world and they have to face all these different types of people. People won't be like the parents. Once the children go into the world, we see that, you know, the way we bring up our children and then they are exposed to such a rough life later on, you feel your heart bleeds for them. But then you know that's the way life is going to be. So you give them courage and you make them become very, very strong so that they can become, you know, they can also face everything. All right. Good luck. Next question. Our scriptures tell us to be all loving to all people. But as I get older, I feel like I only interact with people who are more and more like me. And I worry that it will make me less accepting of others who think differently from me. I justify this by saying I should be around like-minded people. But that just helps me avoid uncomfortable situations. How do I reconcile this message from scriptures and my behavior? You know, you are absolutely right. You have to be with like-minded people. Yeah. So if you want to become spiritually advanced, don't put yourself in the company of others who are not like you. Yeah. In the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, there is a shloka which says, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. As you see a person who is a drunkard or who is a smoker, he is told that he should not do it. He has decided not to do all that. Then all his friends who used to come for drinking or for smoking, slowly they all disappear. Because now he doesn't drink and he doesn't smoke. So what does that mean? That means you will only attract like-minded people. That is the beauty. So when you are in the spiritual world, it will only happen that people only who like these things will be with you. All those other people, like one lady in one of the Balavihars, the mother, no, we have adult class also. So in that class, one lady said, you know, Sharda ji, it used to be so nice. People used to call me for their parties and all. But nowadays, nobody calls me. Yeah, they won't call you because you are changed. Yeah, you are not into that. So it will happen. So you don't have to blame yourself for not being associated with those kind of people. So it will happen and then you are not avoiding them, but your own nature is only attracting such people. So even if you go into the other side or whatever you want to call, you will be fish out of water. Yeah. So what you are doing is right. So in that shloka, I didn't finish it. What it says is, Rasavarjam rasopyasya. So once you stop doing all those things, that, little bit of, craving will be there. I used to have such fun with them. That craving will be there. But once you get realized, even that will go away. You will know that is just a worthless, useless life. Yeah. So what you are doing is absolutely right. So don't feel bad as though you are avoiding those kind of people. It will happen like that. Okay, I hope I convinced you. But if I'm not convinced you, then you just think about what I have said. Going to the third question, the last one. Unconditional performance of an action is karma yoga. Unconditional love towards God is bhakti yoga. Our scriptures say we need these paths to advance in our spiritual path, right? However, all our actions and love, even towards our closest family members, is conditional, no matter how much we try. How do we make that change towards unconditional action and love? Any tips? See, unconditional love, unconditional, everything, paths, whatever we are taking, karma and bhakti and everything, we have to see. The example I can give you is, if we can, if we include that same love, if we start giving to everybody, not just our own children, not only our own people, if I have that love for everyone, then that selfishness also becomes very diluted. The example given is, when you have a spoonful of salt and you put it in a cup of water, it's very saline, very, very salty. But when you take that same salt and put it in a trough of water, it's very light. If you put it in a lake of water, you don't even know that the salt has gone in, isn't it? So the same thing with selfishness. When we include more people, the same thing we do we start loving everybody, then you will find that the selfishness just becomes totally null and void. So it will become like that as soon as we become, that's why it says Shanta Mahanto, broad-minded. The heart has to be, accepting everybody as they are. When do we say that we are becoming spiritual? When we can accommodate everybody. It is the more and more, small thing that we have, only me and my house and my family, it is being very selfish. But when I grow and I include everybody, the more and more I include, the more and more I am spiritual, because I see the oneness in everyone. So that is the remedy for this. So include everybody, give love to everybody, be unselfish with everybody, and then the selfishness will become unselfish. Okay. That's all with that. I've already taken 5 minutes more. Thank you very much for this opportunity. So tomorrow we'll start the thing with the 6 or 7 questions that are very, very, very important. And as I said, Gurudev always used to make us all, as we were walking, we had to keep on singing. All our Vivek Chudamani people are all sitting here. Some of them, they all know it by heart. They have already learnt it by heart, because that's what we do. Every class for the past 10 years, we have been repeating. So they all know that shlokam by heart. So we'll be learning that tomorrow, and then see what the answers are and what is meditation, etc. And then beautiful shlokas are all coming up. Please try to come so that you can have the continuity in learning this. And thank you very much for this opportunity. I really, I love all the music and everything. And thank you. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Sadabin. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Mami.
Hari Om. See you.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Mami.
Dharmarajan, yesterday I didn't say hello. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Mami.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
You bring back old memories.
Oh. Yeah, old people do that. What to do?
No, from the camps and all that.
Exactly. Yeah. We used to have such a great time with Gurudev.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll see you all. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.